There are distractions that we can see coming, and there are distractions we don't see coming. Some we can avoid, and some we can't. But the key is discovering what we do have control over and making decisions to get back on track. But then there are harmful distractions that become major obstacles. And the most harmful distraction is related to abuse. Abuse is always about the misuse of power over someone. None of us ask for it or agree to being abused. And out of all the distractions we can name, abuse is the ultimate killer of goals and dreams. Looking back, I understand now why I spent the first half of my life just wandering with no hope. Abuse entered my story at the age of 4. That experience threw me off my path, and it took me down a road that I never wanted to go down. Did you know that every year there are over 3 million reports of child abuse? Since this is such a prevalent issue that many can relate to, it helps to understand the different types of abuse, because definitions are power, and they are the tools that you can use to protect yourself from an abusive situation or get out of one. Physical abuse is when someone intentionally inflicts bodily harm upon another. In other words, someone did something to me on purpose that hurt me physically that I did not want to happen. Emotional abuse is a tactic that abusive people use to damage somebody else's self-esteem. So in other words, someone deliberately said harmful things that hurt me emotionally that I did not want to happen. Grooming. It is the ultimate form of manipulation, and it is when someone manipulates you to set you up for abuse. In other words, someone's being way too nice, paying way too much attention to me, somehow making me feel like I owe them loyalty. Sexual abuse occurs when an adult or minor uses a person for sexual purposes. Showing a child explicit content is also sexual abuse. So in other words, something happened to me sexually that I did not want to happen.
I would probably say when I was a freshman in high school, my mom got into Power Predator, and she became just soaked us all of us kids and my siblings in that, and gave us the tools so that we would know what an abusive or toxic relationship looked like and how to get out of it. The more we were like around it, the more we were able to be like, not even just like boyfriend girlfriend relationships, but friendships even.
Right.
Me and my little sister were able to be like, yeah, that's not really a good like fit for me, especially like at this point in my life. And so, but yeah, it definitely, we became more aware very quickly. For me, it was like something that I noticed a lot is like manipulation. Like when I'm reluctant to do something and they are kind of still trying to like talk me into it. And so that's one of my big things that I notice is I'm like, yeah, I'm not a really big fan of that.
I wasn't taught about the signs of a toxic nor abusive relationship until recently. So
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
I was surrounded by toxic and abusive relationships with family, and then of course those kind of relationships, when you're born into it and you're around it for such a long time, it's harder for you to pick up on the signs of what it is.
That's your normal.
And then you go on in life, if you don't learn, punishing yourself with more abusive and toxic relationships before you end up, hitting a brick wall. And if I could say anything to anybody about keeping yourself from that situation and having happy and healthy relationships, it's learn early the signs of an abusive or a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Especially when you're just like, you've grown up in abuse, but as soon as someone shows you a little bit of love or something convincing, which is love, like you just let them in.
Yeah.
So if you let them in your relationship, but you don't see anything else, you're just, oh, I'm getting gratitude right now.
Right.
I want you in my life.
Right.
But then it just crashes and burns.
Yeah. The result of abuse is toxic shame. And shame is known to be one of the most powerful emotions that a human being can experience. If we are carrying shame that doesn't belong to us, then we find ourselves in a never-ending cycle of hopelessness. I understand how difficult this topic is, but if we choose not to recognize it because it's painful, we will stay stuck. My abuse defined me for decades. The toxic shame that I carried nearly killed me. But once I found my voice and believed that my experiences do not define me, that I am worthy of being loved and protected, everything changed. But I have to work hard every day to tell myself the truth. This is a strategy that keeps me on track. You are not to blame for the results of abuse, but you don't have to let the circumstances control you. There is always hope in every situation, even if it doesn't feel like it. And things might not turn out exactly how you want, but you can learn how to make the best of the situation. You have every right to feel the emotions you do, but you do not need to bear the weight of failure if your goals weren't achieved due to circumstances that were out of your control. So increasing your awareness and knowing how to define abuse will help you avoid abusive relationships and distractions. It also helps you advocate for a friend who might be trapped in an abusive situation. If you have experienced abuse and feel stuck, write your story down. Get it all out and do not let it have power over you anymore, and then find help. Abuse leaves a wound that is not going to heal. So treat yourself like you would if you broke your ankle or you got a cut that needs stitches. If you have a friend or a loved one that's experienced abuse, offer them support and a listening ear. Here's your truth tip for the day. You are the author of your story, and your goals deserve to be protected. You have got what it takes to make the best of any situation. You are priceless. Take a moment to answer these 2 questions. What is something you've learned today that you didn't know before? What is something you are going to do as a result of what you learned?